Hello everyone. Globebusters finally put out a video. This is a weird one. I'm a relative newcomer here, so seeing all this stuff is just. I understand the drama. It came when I didn't want it to. When I first started trying to trying to fix these issues that we have in our societies, in the world, our governments. During the political stuff, what happens is uh, we we try to stick to the talking points. We try to stick to what the problems are. Then it gets personal, and people who try not to take it personal, we just try to ignore it as best we can. And then what happens is, well, you get taken advantage of, I guess. And then it's personal. And then the people who take advantage of the drama situation, they go, hey, why didn't you just take it up with me personally? You know, behind the scenes, why didn't you just contact me? Blah, blah, blah. It's like, this is a public arena. We're doing everything in public. We're not doing anything where we're covering up anything. We're trying to be as transparent as possible, because the problem we have is that there is no transparency in the systems of control that are out there. There's no transparency, and that's why we have this problem. And so you want to handle all the ugliness and stuff like that privately when all of that started publicly? No. I understand the drama stuff. I hate the drama stuff. Drama stuff always gets in the way, and we have to just reassess. And it's part of the problem, because, well, there are people who sell out. There are people who change the sides. We don't know the reason. All of that's secret. It's not transparent. We see it time and time again. We got people who are like, hey, this guy, this girl, whoever it is, it's awesome. I mean, political arena, we see it most definitely. People who are comedians, we're seeing it definitely taking shape. And so all we notice is eventually the people who change sides, they usually end up being more famous. They end up being richer. No one really sells out for nothing, although I have seen people sell out for like really, really little, and that's a little darn shame. You would think that they'd sell out for a little bit more, but yeah, it's the way that these days are. People are struggling, and it's bad. All right, so let's get to some videos. So in the description box, if you're watching through YouTube, you'll see all the links to the videos that I'm going to show. There's going to be a if you're on Steemit and watching through Vim, you're going to see the same thing. Unfortunately, if you're watching DLive or Periscope, you're not going to have that pleasure. And so Globebusters finally made a video 2 hours ago, and I watched the whole thing. It talks about the reason for all the videos being missing. As you can see, there's a lot of videos not here. Apparently the videos will come back up. And again, I'm new to the situation, and let me see, where's my zooming? Okay, there we go. So I'm new to the situation. So what, like, I kind of had a hint. Like, I watched Globebusters, and I figured that there's just like a panel that shows up, and they do a weekly thing and they talk. And similar to, it's more of a conversation rather than a debate that Nathan Oakley does. And well, so we were kind of wondering where all the videos, like first the video that was live streamed with Nathan Oakley with the fallout just wasn't available. So then you know, a few people made a video about that, because, well, if you can't see it, did it happen? You know, you have to just go by people's word. But now he did a video of why all the videos were taken down, because not just that video, but all the videos, Globebusters, were taken down. So most people could speculate. The problem is when when I watched the rest of the video, all I here is just, hey, go back to you awakened. Now go back towards control factors. Go back towards being controlled, and listen to science. Science is telling you correctly that the world is spinning, the Earth is spinning, etc., because of a gadget. And then just ad hominem attacks. Not really. And I'm gonna have to show you both sides, and that's what I'm doing. Is when, yeah, Nathan Oakley, he has a definitely has a temper, but he keeps it at the topic of why it's ignorant to think of science the wrong way, or you're an idiot if you think what science is what science isn't, type of thing. It stays on topic, and he tries to discuss it with people so they can understand, and they don't get into a situation where they're debating in a it'd be like debating two different religions and saying my God is better than your God, because it's like, and there's no way to verify that. That's why science, the empirical evidence, is important, because if you're using that as the basis for your foundation of how the world is presented to you or anyone else, it has to be followed. But then when you take that and use it, invoke it, and say something totally different, and saying my God is better than your God because science, doesn't work. Anyways, I think being able to just kind of look between, I mean, I've been in the Nathan Oakley debates a few times, maybe 4 times. Not much. I say a few things, but mostly I'm just kind of there to listen and point out something. If I mean, everyone else there understands the points of what people are getting wrong. So there's not much I can contribute. Just share what I find every once in a while. So let's take it back. So this is March 10th, March 9th, March 4th, March 3. We'll go at this point where Nathan Oakley is talking with Patricia Steere. Then we'll go watch a few of the tidbits of Nathan Oakley stuff. Then we'll watch the Globebusters, an end of an era, personal message to flat earthers from the 12-minute 43 mark, and et cetera, et cetera. We'll talk about some more. So here we go.
So after a few comments from chat trolls on some of the debate videos, I got in touch with Bob and said I'd like to discuss this with you. What's being claimed as proving Earth curve and Earth rotation absolutely prove neither, and I'd like to go through that with you. Now, certainly Jaren, Bob to a lesser degree have been showing hints of this anyway, so I'm pretty confident they know exactly what I'm going to be talking about with them, especially as I know at least Jaren and Bob to a certain extent watch my show, so hopefully they've heard inklings about what I'm going to be discussing with them. It'll probably only take less than 3 minutes for me to go through the logical fallacies being used, affirming the consequence, the formulation of that fallacy, and indeed what is and is not an experiment, the hijacking of science, all of that good stuff. I'm hoping to go through with Bob, Jaren, and all the cast of Globebusters on Sunday. So yeah, tune into that. But off the back of that shout out, I'll shout out some of the debating regulars. So the play.
So this was like, I didn't realize until I watched it now that this was before the Globebusters where the incident happened, and he was hoping to just pretty much explain what the problem was with their experiment, gyroscope experiment, and all this other stuff. So, and then it happened, and this is kind of the day after. This is Flat Earth Debate 741. It was live on March 4th, 2019.
Oh, Nathan, let's dispense with housekeeping for one show. Let's have the conversation that is the hot potato. What happened on Globebusters last night, then?
No, but you've got a lot of background hiss. What's that all about?
It's not me, it's Paul.
Oh, is it Paul?
Sorry. I'm actually driving, so let me mute, and I'll come back in when I need to talk.
Yeah, it sounds like I don't mind dispensing with housekeeping. If you want to talk about Globebusters, that's fine by me.
Well, I think it's the only thing that people are going to want to talk about today. So what we'll do, we all know what happened. I'll do the fact bit. Joined Globebusters. There was a bit of a back and forth. Rage quit, and then responses. I'll play the journalist. So Nathan, what happened on Globebusters last night?
Well, first of all, I didn't rage quit. I was invited to leave. Hello, FlatEarth. Good to have you.
Hello. Hi.
Hello. Nice to see you. So no, I didn't rage quit.
See you.
I was getting annoyed, and I was glad of the opportunity. Don't get me wrong. But by the same token, when someone says, look, if you're going to talk over me on this show, then you might as well leave, or words to that effect, at that point, I'm going to say, okay, fine. I'm trying to help here. So if that's the way it is, then fine. I'm obviously wasting my breath.
So it wasn't a rage quit. Okay, so what was the... All right. Why did you take advantage of the opportunity?
Say that again. I know what you've done. The gate you've got too high. The second wheel on your desk is too high, so it's cutting you off.
I've turned it down.
There we go.
Turned it down.
Hello.
So the question is,
saying?
if it
Sorry,
wasn't
Anthony.
a rage quit...
Just one sec. Hey, Chocolate. Hey, guys.
Good morning. Good morning.
Hey.
Hey, Chocolate.
That was a good impression.
Right, I'll do my best. I didn't think you'd come off mute, but you did.
All right, so if it wasn't a rage quit, what was it? Why did you leave? What was the issue? Because everybody wants to know what actually happened. Why did you leave?
Because I'd given a fairly concise and consistent explanation for the issue at hand, and it was promptly ignored. So that's why. Shout out to Brandon for the super chat. Thank you very much indeed. Really appreciate your support. So if you explain something in great detail, and then someone promptly ignores it and says, no, we're not going to call an experiment an experiment when it says the word experiment on screen. And, you know, after I'd gone, the video that they played, which I know well, goes on to detail how the experiment works. And if it's not an experiment, and my point is that that word has become a magic word. Hey, Spurs, how you doing?
Hey, good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon. Very well, very well. I was just talking about magic words, saying that if you're trained at school to understand that science means proof of something, and you assert scientific terminology such as experiment, that will automatically have the magic effect that is desired when you invoke this language, which is to say that you understand from a child that it means you've proven something. So if you can then twist what is actually proof, the scientific method, empirical, to mean what you say, i.e. an assertion based on a gadget or an observation of a light in the sky or anything else for that matter, then a useful magic word is experiment or science or hypothesis or any of these other words. So if you've just explained that to somebody and they ultimately go, right, let's listen to what the words of this man are about a pseudoscience non-experiment that doesn't adhere to the scientific method. Let's go. And I go, no, but this doesn't prove anything. And then you get told off. That's good enough cause to leave. And I did. There you go. There's your answer, Anthony.
Yeah, it's like the white coat. People seem to think if you wear a jacket or white overall, you know what you're talking about. So yeah, the same thing with experiment. People have hijacked the meaning of what it means. And I don't know, are you talking about yesterday's show or just in general?
Yeah, we're just chit-chatting, Spurs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're definitely talking about yesterday's show.
You don't want to talk about it?
No, we are. That is
Oh,
definitely...
you are?
I'm just kidding with you.
Well, okay. You've been through the housekeeping and things like that. I'm not interrupting anything like that.
No, we're not. We've dispensed with housekeeping because specifically people are going to want to know why, quote, according to Anthony, I rage quit. Well, I didn't. That was the first thing I pointed out. And then when I was asked why I've left, it's because everything I said was essentially ignored. You know. But there we go.
Did you leave or did they kick you out?
Oh, I definitely left. I mean,
Oh,
I'll be ruthlessly honest with you. For a few minutes, I'd been hovering over the I'm going to leave button but did not want to rage quit, as you put it. So when I was given the opportunity to leave, I took it. Well, that's not me rage quitting, and I won't lie, I was looking for that opportunity to leave. So that's as ruthlessly honest as I can be. Now, you can spin that into he rage quit if you like.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out
No,
to
I
Miguel
don't think
for
it was
the super chat.
rage. I think you made your point anyway, and it would have, you know, if it's just seen as like a point, okay, thank you, Nathan, that's your point, then you know there's nothing to discuss. But if it's, I don't think I can't remember the other guy's name, but
All right. Anyway, so that was just pretty much the aftermath, and a couple of talking points of Nathan Oakley and a couple of others. This one is Flat Earth Debate 748 Uncut and After Show. There's a couple of other things where I hear Nathan talking about the situation, and I don't hear him go into the ad hominem attacks, and there are times where he does go into saying like I would say pretty negative remarks, and so it's a lot of back and forth, but the majority of the time he just wants to clear it up. Without further ado, here we go.
And then he shut his channel down in the same way Globebusters has, set everything to private and claimed that it had been flagged. I don't know what the claim is from Bob. Anthony knows better than I haven't been in touch with Bob. I'm just getting this information secondhand from other people who are telling me that I'm being smeared by Bob. So fun for me. As the chat comments have said, the tip of the spear takes the most damage. Well, in this case, the damage I'm receiving is from one of my own, even though I'm trying to save their ass from their own ignorance, i.e. their ignorance being that they've claimed this is a big problem, in quotes, because science has proven something when it hasn't. So their own idiocy and stupidity in regards to science, has left a television company promoting the fact that we as flat earthers have proven the bloody earth spins. Well, no, we haven't. We haven't applied science. We just had people who are ignorant claiming science because it means they seem clever. That's it. Well, that was a very easy thing to resolve. You know, I've managed to get around this problem with several other people, including Dr. John D and John Savage, both of which had a similar reaction at first. They weren't very happy about what I was saying, and with a little bit of work, they were both saying, great, this is progress. Yeah, frustrating that in the past I've incorrectly used these scientific terminologies, but moving forward, we can recognise that the people who actually control the show, which is definitely not Globebusters, they are 1 in 1,000% in this problem. They're not constantly getting the public to agree with them. You know, that's the mainstream media. They agree based on the same terminology and misuse of words like science that Bob and the team at Globebusters have been guilty of. Now, to get around that problem, you just have to admit it. Okay, we got it wrong. No, we're not adhering to the scientific method. No, we're not varying and manipulating our independent variable, otherwise known as presumed cause. Shout out to Leaf Eaters for the super chat. Thank you very much for all your support. So, yeah, but that just takes a bit of humility. You know, I didn't shut the channel down when we got it wrong about Ireland. You know, the fact that I declared on a debate quite boldly about 20 or 30 times that we can see Ireland didn't mean I shut my channel down when it was proven incorrect. By one of our own side, Chris Monk, at the time. On our side at the time. Yeah, you just have to, cap in hand, eat a bit of humble pie and say you were wrong. That's it. No foul, no harm. It didn't cause any issue with John Savage. It hasn't caused any issue with Dr. John D. Unfortunately for Globebusters, and this is the bit that pisses me off, all the people who put all of their time, effort and energy into producing that content, and because Bob's had a bit of a hissy fit, he's decided to turn it all off. Oh, right. Well, it's not all your work, is it, Bob? It's all those guests. It's all those people who've watched it and supported it, built up the viewing ratings. Those are the people who made that channel, not you. But you're arbitrarily going to turn all that off because you're looking a bit silly at the moment. Oh, how pathetic. Get over yourself, you bloody drama queen.
That was pretty harsh, the drama queen part. All right, so and then so last Sunday night, it's March 10th, they did a BALLBUSTERS because Globebusters weren't doing a Globebusters thing, and this is the beginning part of it. I actually didn't watch all of it. I don't think. You know, I was focused on other things. So here we go. Let's play back a bit.
So we are taking, obviously, advantage of an opportunity that has opened up in the advent of... Advent? In the advent? That's the right word, isn't it? The advent of Globebusters?
Don't know.
Globebusters isn't here.
It's your language, so you should know,
I
right?
should know. We're filling the void
Yeah.
where Globebusters has left a gap. So there is definitely an opportunity to meet an audience who are looking for flat Earth information and goodness. So that is precisely what we have done. So this is technically like a pilot show. So it may just be one, maybe a one-off, maybe a start of an era. We just don't know. But there's definitely an opportunity. And without sugarcoating it too much, the opportunity has come, in my humble opinion, as a direct result of a misunderstanding about science. So, where shall we start, ladies, or lady and gentlemen?
I know where we should start.
Go on,
It's been an interesting day at the races, Nathan. It's been an interesting day at the races, Nathan. We've got one horse lagging miles behind everybody else. We've got 2 or 3 keeping up with the pack. And we've got one horse that's fucked off out the racetrack with his tail between his legs and was last seen off into the distance with a black Frisian eating donuts and drinking coffee. That's how it is.
Well, this isn't actually a race, so things can change in a heartbeat on flat Earth. But does any of you want to summarise the current science situation that finds us on this happy Sunday evening?
Well,
Not
can I just say one thing? That
Go
I
ahead.
am absolutely, really, really disappointed that there's no Globebusters this evening, because I absolutely do enjoy watching their show.
Yeah, that's fair enough
And
to say.
whatever's gone on in the background, whatever the reasons are, the way that this is going is wrong. The reality is that we all know that it's not a sphere, right? How we get to the goal at the end of it is it's a journey, and we're all on our own journey. And some of us are new to it, some of us are veterans, some of us are somewhere in the middle. But we all realise that Bob not being in this discussion in any way is wrong. Whether he's right or wrong is irrelevant. He should be in the discussion, and he should be on Globebusters, and there should be a show. It's that simple. For whatever reason, unbeknown to, well, maybe we can all speculate. No one really knows what the cause is. Oh, sounds a bit like science. But anyway,
No pun intended.
no pun intended. But the reality is he's not around at the moment, which is bad because, yeah, you could blame me, you could blame science, you could blame wrong type of snow, wrong leaves. But for whatever reason, he's not here. Don't know exactly the reason why. And we could speculate, but we're not going to speculate. I think what we should do is have a discussion about the issue at hand. The only issue at hand, no distractions, no fluff, no drama, no personalities. The one topic that's on the table that everybody's now acutely aware of. Let's talk about gyroscopes.
I'd second that in a way, Tony. I'm not here to discuss Globebusters tonight. I'm gutted, like most Earthers. It's been part of my Sunday evening, and it's always upsetting when it's not on or when Bob takes a break. But for me, respect Bob, have a break, mate. You know what I mean? The shit with the documentary and the bollocks you're putting up with, have a break. This isn't, for me, I've not come here in any form of replacing Globebusters. We know it's not on, and there is a great topic that really should be had, and I look forward to when Bob's ready to come and join it, because his voice is important in all of this, and I look forward to it being heard when he's ready.
Okay. So quick chronology for historical purposes of what's happened. Globebusters show last week, Nathan and Bob had a bit of a disagreement over the gyroscopes and what they actually mean. Now, it's a little bit of a parallel universe, this, because we've been banging this drum for God knows how long about the scientific method, what it proves, what it doesn't prove, all the points that the ballers bring up, and how basically none of it is science. It's all pseudoscience. And the reason for it, of course, is that you've got to manipulate that independent variable. I played that song a lot on the last couple of shows. Wiggle it just a little bit. That's really pertinent because if there's a cause to an effect, then you've got to wiggle it. Now, basically, on the show, the show concluded with a half confession, which was basically we realized that it's not science. However, it was followed by basically 2 hours worth of discussing all the ins and outs of the gyros. Now, if you're going to declare and denounce the gyro, then don't spend 2 hours talking about it, because it reifies the point that you're making, which is supposed to be that this is not science. Perhaps the better scenario would have been to declare the science as non-science, declare it as pseudoscience, and then within the next 1 or 2 sentences, wrap the point up. Perhaps it should have been the case that, yes, these gyros aren't science, therefore, and not forgetting the fact that Bob didn't do anything himself, somebody else did something, but he definitely didn't prove anything, because the gyroscopes measure something, but they don't prove what the cause of this measurement is. And that would have been it. Bob would then have been able to walk freely, not being credited or accused of proving something, because he didn't. Somebody else may have done something, but he didn't do anything. And he wouldn't be in this this position now where he's getting attacked from all angles, including Flat Earth. I realise that Bob's feeling fragile, partly because of us, maybe, partly because of the documentary, partly because of the ballers, partly because of Joe Blogs on the street, random people that aren't in the discussion that may have got involved in somehow, I don't know. But he's fragile, and the pressure must be relentless, and I don't envy that position. But that was where the show finished. The conversation about gyroscopes. Does anybody want to take over from what happened after the show?
Well, not really, but I would like to just say that, anybody being put under that kind of pressure and scrutiny is going to have an effect on. If it was me and I was under the microscope like that, I'd want to take a break too. So if that's the case, I mean, I don't know. I'll be honest, I do not know what's gone on. So if any of you guys have any information, I've been out of the loop the past week, but I just want to say that anybody being under that kind of pressure, they deserve a break.
There's more to listen to, and I agree. It's a tough situation to be in. And now we'll listen to Globebusters, An End of an Era, a personal message to Flat Earthers, published on March 12th, 2019, about 3 hours ago.
So as far as the Nathan Oakley debacle last week, I have received many emails over the past week, and a few were from scientists that sent me information providing proof using Nathan's scientific method that not only proves the ether, but it also proves that it is the ether that is in motion around the Earth. I have also received the additional data on the Sagnac experiment, and yes, I am absolutely calling it an experiment now, because Sagnac was absolutely operating within the scientific method before, during, and after this experiment. Just because Malcolm Bowden's video did not go into those details, it doesn't mean that they weren't documented and elaborated upon. They were. So it turns out that Nathan Oakley was dead wrong about Sagnac and his methods, because like any pretender clown, he not only didn't have the faintest idea what was actually happening in this experiment, but he is also incapable of understanding anything about the actual practice of the scientific method. Nathan has become the king of hand-wave dismissals because he has absolutely no understanding or background in science. The scientific method was alive and well before the onset of Einstein, and it was at that point where science largely became mathematical constructs and took us off the scientific path for the past 100 years. The giants of science, like Oliver Heaviside, Henri Poincaré, James Clerk Maxwell, Albert Michelson, George Sagnac, Edward Morley, and last but certainly not least, Nikola Tesla, all knew of the ether and did many experiments based on the absolute necessity of its existence. Even science today acknowledges it and documents it fully. And let's not forget that if the ether did not exist, the Sagnac effect and ring laser gyroscopes would not exist either. So when it comes to science, it looks like we can take the impotent rants of a grocery store delivery boy that thinks he knows everything there is to know about the scientific method, or I can go by the experimental results of the giants in science, physics, and engineering, known as Heaviside, Poincare, Maxwell, Michelson, Sagnac, and Tesla, who brought us the 21st century technology based on their work. Every one of these scientists disagreed vehemently with Albert Einstein and considered him to be nothing more than a fuzzy-haired crackpot. For those of you that are inclined to believe and follow the rantings of a grocery delivery boy who runs a Jerry Springer-themed hangout, all I can say is you are well matched to the intellect found there, and you are welcome to believe what you want. Do not expect me to bring myself or the Globebusters team down to that level of thinking, though. Now, for those of you that have not fallen too far into the brain-dead antics of the Nathan Oakley clown show, I would like to point something out that showcases the utter ignorance and stupidity that is apparent from a person with zero training in science. Nathan is always pointing out that in a scientific experiment, one must have a hypothesis, a natural or observed phenomenon, a dependent and independent variable, and finally a conclusion that is represented via a scientific theory. Great. Nathan is correct about this, and no one is disputing this point at all. Nor did we dispute it on Globebusters when Nathan was a hostile guest on our show. All right, let me scroll down. And let's start this back up again. All right, continuing on. So where Nathan goes totally wrong is when he continually asserts that I claimed I performed a fiber optic gyro experiment and then asserted that it proved the ether. I have never performed any experiment, scientific or otherwise, with a fiber optic gyro, period. I simply reported on Rick Zimmerman's observational results that he did with his fiber optic gyro. I did not make any mistake in the Behind the Curve movie because all I did was report on those results, period. During the part of the movie where I was talking to YouTuber X-Heliocentric and saying that if the results got out as they were, they would not look good for the flat earth. I then stated that the results were still a secret because Rick Zimmerman had not given me the okay to release them yet. 2 days or so after that video was shot, Rick gave me permission to release those results because we had realized what it was we were actually dealing with. That it was actually the ether that was rotating as discovered by the Michelson-Gale experiment a century ago, and then I released those results along with a comprehensive explanation on the very next Globebusters show. I also sent that very same explanation to Daniel Clark, the director of Behind the Curve, in which he promptly ignored them and went on to paint Jaron and I as fools in his pathetic movie that all Globers now cling to as proof positive of rotation and curvature. Contrary to popular belief, I was never out to cover up any results of our observations, and if they showed the Earth was a ball, we would report the results honestly. Unfortunately, the recorded observations did not support the globe model, unless, of course, you follow pretender clown Nathan Oakley's scientific expertise on these results. Why do I say this? Okay, guys, forget Nathan and his idiotic one-string guitar he plays with regards to the scientific method for a minute and consider this carefully, okay? Nathan categorically claims that the ether does not exist and that no scientific experiment has ever proven it. He has said he will debunk any argument about the ether experiment as not being valid because, again, Nathan asserts categorically that the ether does not exist. Well, folks, Nathan's an idiot, and I'm going to tell you what the net result of his grocery store delivery boy scientific training is. Now listen up and listen carefully, because this is really very important, okay? So both fiber optic gyro and ring laser gyro technologies are designed to measure pitch, yaw, and roll, all based on a rotational axis, They are proven pieces of a technology in use by tens of thousands of navigational systems, and they are extremely precise. They are both classified as laser interferometer technology and based on what is called the Sagnac effect, which came about from the Sagnac experiment that proved the existence of the ether. If we are to believe Nathan Oakley, then we must accept that what the fiber optic gyro, as well as all ring laser gyros, are registering is indeed Earth rotation. Do you people understand that? If the ether doesn't exist, as Nathan the science guy Oakley asserts, then the battle for flat Earth is over, because there can be no other rebuttal for the measured output of rotation by a proven piece of 21st century technology. Nathan Oakley doesn't understand that by calling Sagnac, Heaviside, Poincare, Maxwell, Michelson, Morley, Gale, and Nikola Tesla wrong, as if, about their assertions regarding the ether's existence, he is unwittingly validating another pseudoscientific pretender clown known as Albert Einstein on his mathematically constructed, Lorentz-contracted version of reality, where it is math and not observation and experimentation that reign supreme over science. People, the ether exists, and it is the ether that the fiber optic gyro and ring laser gyros have detected, and we have proven that in a myriad of ways on Globebusters. Science knows it, because if science didn't know it, they would not be looking for ways to prove Earth rotation even today. They would have simply cited the Michelson-Gale experiment and said, that's it, the Earth's rotating. They didn't, because the Michelson-Morley experiment absolutely invalidated it, dismissed the possibility of the Earth traveling around the sun at 67,000 miles an hour, and on and on and on. I have talked about this on Globebusters ad nauseum because I have researched it ad nauseum. All right. Nathan Oakley does not know what the hell he is talking about. And in fact, if you listen to him, the only thing you're going to get out of it is an idiot that is claiming that the ether doesn't exist and therefore essentially supporting the idea that the Earth is spinning. All right. That is the point here. And that is the point that Nathan seriously needs to consider and pull his head out of his rear end before he goes on spouting that he knows what the scientific method is all about. He does not, okay? Plain and simple. All right, so Nathan Oakley is invalidating flat Earth in a way that most baller shills can only dream of. And any one of you that agree with him and his idiocracy might as well throw in the towel right now and declare the Earth is a spinning ball. But don't forget to keep throwing those super chats Nathan's way, because that is all he cares about after all. Fortunately, there are people like me, Globebusters, and FE Core in this community who are capable of seeing and knowing that Einstein and Nathan Oakley are wrong in their dismissal of the ether and are working on explaining its nature both by observational test and experimentation. And I will also add, also by bringing the historical facts and discussion of the ether to light, and also the fact that every scientific experiment performed has always returned a result of no motion to this Earth. Okay? So it is fortunate for the community that FE Core exists. FE Core is about performing true observations, science, and experimentation, and is dedicated to understanding and revealing the phenomenon that we have been lied to about for centuries. FE Core is made up of an impressive and growing group of scientists and engineers who realize that science has indeed been hijacked and compromised, as Nathan so astutely asserts. Unfortunately, that is where Nathan ends on being correct, and his money-grubbing, pseudoscientific, and drama-pushing attributes take over. Nathan was ejected from his courtesy membership of FE Core by me personally, and I accept full responsibility for doing so. FE Core has no place for drama queen idiots like Nathan, and I stand by my decision. All right, so let's go now to this. Now I want to point something else out here. So moving on, I'd like to comment on yet another thing that shows Nathan Oakley only cares about views and super chats. On Sunday, March 10th, 2019, Nathan was aware that Globebusters would not be doing a show. I was scheduled to shoot some video with Rick Hummer and John Pounders from the Now You See TV YouTube channel, and Jaron was sick with pneumonia. He quickly turned that into a scheme to attempt to steal the Globebusters audience and drum up more viewers, so he put together a show which he titled BALLBUSTERS. Okay, and in case you guys didn't know, BALLBUSTERS was my name suggestion when Jaron and I were deciding on the title of our new show 4 years ago, but we decided to use Globebusters instead because the name did not sound quite so crass. Anyway, Nathan sees the opportunity to gain more followers to his shit show and not only put Globebusters in the title, description, and keywords, but he also ran this show under our normal Sunday time slot. He did this because he knew people would be searching for Globebusters because our video content was down and we were not live. Doing that worked out quite well for Nathan because by doing that, he now has over 6,000 views on his video, where over half of it is nothing more than the panel talking about me and the mistakes I allegedly made. Not to mention a few choice insults that were in there as well. This was yet another evidence that Nathan was never out to try to help me or anyone but himself. Nathan could have simply chose to contact me in private to express his concerns, but that would not generate any super chats, drama, or subscribers, so he was not interested in that. By the way, there was also one other troll in the community besides Nathan who used this tactic to steal Globebusters viewers, and it worked equally well for him, as he also had record numbers for his shit show. Yes, that was none other than Timmy Osman. All right. So now I have to ask, I should say, the Flat Earth community a few questions. Did Nathan Oakley really care about helping me in my moment of despair and correcting a wrong, or did he use this opportunity to berate me as a result of a 2-year-old chip on his shoulder? Is Nathan Oakley qualified in any way to dictate what is and is not science to this community? Is Nathan Oakley correct in supporting Einstein's assertions that there is no ether? And finally, is Nathan Oakley and his Flat Earth Berates show really about getting to the truth, or is it just a show based on drama used to highlight Nathan going ballistic and losing his mind on ball earthers and generating super chats? Whatever your answers are, I only ask that you keep things in proper perspective and consider the evidence for yourself and remain free from groupthink. In case I have not alluded to it strongly enough, let me state for the record to be perfectly clear. I believe that Nathan Oakley is a despicable snake whose only interest lies in Jerry Springer-type drama, which generates division, scientific illiteracy, and utter stupidity that is now running rampant in this community. Nathan does not care who he steps on or how bad he makes flat earthers look, as long as those subscriptions and super chats keep coming in. I totally acknowledge, though, that everyone is free to watch anyone or anything they want. It is certainly your decision, and I support that. Even I have been known to tune into Jerry Springer from time to time. Okay, so I've said my piece on this, and this will be the last word I utter about it. I will not go on for weeks and days like Nathan Oakley does, bitching and moaning about what happened with Bob and Globebusters and how he was wrong and all that stuff. I've said my piece, that's it. I hope you understand where I'm coming from and share my concern about flat earthers being our own worst enemy in this awakening. In this instance, we do need to take a lesson from the Globers and learn about cohesiveness, teamwork, and backing each other up rather than shill calling and name calling. United we stand, divided we fall. And from where I'm standing, the flat earth community is looking pretty divided right now. It is a pity because we do not have truth on, because we do. Oh boy, we do have truth on our side, and we absolutely do. We all know that the Earth is flat, it is not moving, and that is coming out, and that is why the powers that be are in total damage control mode. That is why we are infested with thousands, hundreds, thousands of trolls. That is why YouTube is censoring us. That is why all of these things are happening to the Flat Earth community in order to discredit any of our message. And it does not help when you have people that are on the inside doing the very same thing. Okay? So lastly, I'd like to say that although I am disappointed in many of the people in this community, I also realize that we are all trying to find the truth in our own way. I've spent the last 4 years doing my best to help others understand the lie that we have been subjected to, and I do not feel that I deserve the attacks and criticisms I got from fellow Flat Earthers. I love this community, and I have given a great part of my life in support of it over the past 4 years. I would be lying if I didn't say that in the wake of all these attacks by both Ball Earthers and Flat Earthers alike, I have been having some serious thoughts about leaving this community. It is a very hard decision for me, though, because I really want to make a better world for my children and grandchildren. I also have to consider my own sanity, though, as well as what is best for Cammie and Jaren. Perhaps I just need some time away. I want to say thank you to all the people who have supported Globebusters over the years. Your support and encouragement is what keeps us all going. We are on the winning side of this debate and will remain so as long as we respect the opinions and sovereignty of others. I hope this community will move forward with that in mind. We are all just people trying to get through life as best we can, and we all need to remember that it was the tactic of division that allowed our controllers to usurp our minds in the first place. Let's try not to let that continue to happen. So with that, guys, that's all I have to say. I love this community. I believe in this community. I know that we're on the right side of this, and history will definitely make note of the people in this community. Let's give it our best shot. Get out there, fight the good fight. So be good to each other. Don't lie to each other. Open your mind, because there's truth inside. God bless everyone, and peace.
How are you good to each other when you're calling people things? All right. So Bob still says the Sagnac is an experiment because other scientists say it is. It's scientism right there. He says, well, Nathan Oakley doesn't know what the scientific method is. I think he knows. I think a lot of us knows. The scientific method is taught to everyone, even in the public educational system. Everyone knows or should know what the scientific method is. And it's not up to the giants of science and engineering to dictate what the scientific method is. That's scientism. It's like he referred to Nathan Oakley as a grocery store delivery boy at least 3 times. And because you're a grocery store delivery boy, you don't know what scientific method is? No, I don't agree with that. Because someone has a PhD or has some quote scientific experiment written up in a article, scientific journal somewhere, that's science. So therefore, it's true. It's evidence. No. Calls Nathan a clown, incapable of understanding the scientific method, no understanding or background of science. I think everyone knows that's a baseless claim. Jerry Springer themed hangout that was mentioned at least 3 times. Shit show at least twice. Nathan Oakley was a hostile guest, pretender clown, strums an idiotic 1-string guitar, and he, as Bob goes on about the Sagnac experiment or Sagnac effect, he says, forget the scientific method for 1 minute. I don't get that. Forget the scientific method for a minute. And then now let me show you this science. I don't know. Says Nathan is an idiot. At least twice. I think he says it more times than that. Anyone who agrees with Nathan Oakley is basically a glober. No. Nathan only cares about super chat. Says that at least 3 times. Money grubbing. Look, I set up my super chat finally. I've got no super chats ever. I've never made any money off of it. Any money that I did make, even through my, I don't know, what do you call it? Patreon. I pretty much gave it away to is it 2 people? 2 people who were in the movement to free Julian Assange. I have $0 of profit since ever I've started streaming. I've actually spent thousands of dollars, up into probably $10,000 to $20,000 to do all of this for however long I've been doing it. Look, if you can get whatever money you can for people who want to give it, I think that's great, because I see a lot of people giving money to people who really don't need it, and for talking about certain things as simple as comic books. Talking about, like, he personally ejected Nathan from FlatEarth FE Core. I didn't really understand what FE Core is or whatever. I guess it's a club of flat earthers who are high up in the subs and views of YouTube or something. I don't like clubs. I don't ask to join a club. If I'm invited to a club, I'm just saying no, thank you. I mean, the entire premise of having a club seems very control system like. Stealing viewers. Everyone who accuses of other people stealing views, look, it's not theft. People can watch what they like. He even said it himself. So I have to disagree with a lot. It calls Nathan Oakley a despicable snake. People in the flat earth community are following utter stupidity. You know, it's just a lot of ad hominem attacks. Like, I understand. I think a lot of people do that. You're angry. I think you're feeling ganged up, and that's been mentioned quite a few times. But that Bob says that he doesn't deserve criticism. Look, everyone gets criticized. It doesn't matter. And no one can state that they are above criticism. I mean, if you state that you're above criticism, they can't be criticized. I don't agree with that. That's an elitism point of view right there that I don't agree with. I'm above you, so you cannot criticize me. You are beneath me. No. Criticism, and a lot of it is constructive criticism. Again, Nathan Oakley has stated that he hopes that you can figure it out and move on. If you're wrong, then, and you realize you are wrong and you admit it, that's a big step, and we keep going. It's not like he was trying to say, look, you're wrong, but you can go ahead and believe what you want, and that's good enough for you. Okay, bye, I guess. I don't know how I would have handled that. I think I would have handled it probably a little bit differently. So I just say, look, this is what the scientific method is. This is taught to us early on. But you know, Nathan Oakley stated it pretty concise and clear during that Globebusters session not this last Sunday, but the previous last Sunday. And it's weird just seeing someone double down on it and saying that the Sanac effect, it's an experiment, and if you don't believe the ether exists, then you pretty much have to submit that the Earth is spinning. No. No. That's not it at all. I don't know how to even equate it. It'd be like saying, look, here's this compass. It points north. If you don't believe that the north and south polarity exists, then you think the Earth is round, or I don't know. It's just weird. I can't quite come up with a good analogy for it. But it's like, look, see, there's this compass. It points north because there's a North Pole and a South Pole. It never points to the South Pole because the North Pole is stronger. But the North Pole isn't that strong because the scientists, the giants of science of today, NASA and NOAA and all this, they say that, oh, it's not that strong. It keeps moving south. It's going towards Russia right now. It's all this stuff. They don't show you any direct evidence. They show you diagrams. Anyways, this is I just want to show people just kind of the back and forth between Bob of Globebusters and Nathan Oakley and the rest of us who are watching this unfold. And we don't want to pick sides. It's not really about sides. It's just about finding and understanding what this world is, and trying to not get people back into believing into the scientism, which Bob is invoking. I hope that doesn't happen either. And then we get to the same spot, and we still fall into a system of control. And what we're trying to do is get out of the system of control. And to do that is we need to honestly relook at everything, research, retest, run our own experiments. Anyone can do it. It's pretty simple. We've delegated our science to people within the power to broadcast it to everyone else, saying this is what they found and it's verified by someone else. And we don't know how this someone else verified it. And then when we try to verify it, we don't have the materials because they come up with contraptions, instruments that are powerful and expensive. So no person out there can build that instrument. They don't even give us blueprints for these instruments that measure a lot of these things that are supposedly out in space. They don't even name it. They don't really give details on it. They say, hey, we've created it. The top scientists and engineers created this instrument to measure this. And this is what we found from the experiments we ran using that so-called so-called instrument. So, you know, it's bad. We're in a bad spot. It's ridiculous that we keep falling for this trap. And what we're trying to do is people are falling back asleep. I don't know how it's happening, but maybe it's happening. I doubt it's happening because everything he says seems right. Maybe we just don't want people to sell out, whether if it's selling out through ideological reasons or material gain. That's like the least hope, the least accusational part of it. And I just don't like even going there because it's a sad moment for any movement when sellout occurs. And let's just, you know, I'd say just I guess people are going to pick a side. And if I have to pick a side, I'm just going to pick the side that, well, this is where I'm at. This is how I view things. I'm going by evidence and not belief. And I look around and I go, hey, there's a side that kind of follows the same thing. They don't follow a person. They don't follow an entity or an organization. They don't follow a club. They're just following the same thing I'm following. find the evidence, do your own research, and run the experiments yourself. Do things by yourself. Come up with your own conclusions. Share it. See if other people came up with the same conclusions, especially if it was outside of your interaction. It's like, hey, look, I found these people. They're like exactly like me. And what's great is they've been doing it for years. I've just been here for maybe a year and a half to 2 months or whatever. It's like, hey, this is cool. It's like people are doing it by themselves. I finally found them. It's hard to find people because they, of course, if you're just looking for YouTube or Google search, you're just going to be directed with whatever algorithm they have for what you're viewing. But you know what? Yeah, you can eventually find people who are similar, or someone who comes on, chats and stuff and says, hey, check out this guy, check out this YouTube video, check out this website, and things like that. And that's good because it kind of gives you more exposure to what's out there. So without further ado, I wanted to cut this short, even though it's an hour, so I can spend time with the wife until she goes to bed, and then I'll probably come back into a video and we could talk about stuff. I do know that someone was wanting to talk about oh, that's weird. Oh, okay, I'm looking at something else. Steve Bossel. We are in, always have been in a Dyson sphere. Changed my mind. I don't really want to change your mind, but maybe we could talk about it and see where we go from there. All right, see you guys later.